Thank you, Chairman Sir, and distinguished dignitaries on the dais. May I have my slides, please? My name is Dr. Sangeet Mendiratta, and I represent Bayer Crop Sciences. Bayer is a life sciences company, and we deal with crop sciences as well as pharma. And talking about where we operate in, I'll just want to give a brief background on. I'll be talking about driving rice transformation in India. So rice, all of us know, is very important. It's not just a food. This is something which is, a way of life for not only Asia, but mainly I will be talking about India, how we are driving the technology innovation, mainly related to water, and also the GHG emission part on this crop. The first slide, please. So Bayer is operating in India for the last 125 years, and we are serving in the South Asia market, which is India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. We serve about 20 plus million of farmers, which are the smallholder farmers, through our innovative solutions, which are seeds, crop protection, traits, and also the digital tailored solutions. We have a global hub of manufacturing, as well as there are 14 R&D sites across crop sciences, pharma, and the consumer health division in India. And apart from this, there are about 14,000 employees full-time which work for Bayer. The next slide, please. Our focus in South Asia specifically is fourfold. One is the innovation part of it. I want to give you a few examples about innovation. So one is the main one, we're working on the sustainability part of it, and which is relevant to the theme of this particular session today. So on sustainability, since last 3 years, we are driving a very concerted effort to have a transformation of agronomic practice from the TPR rice to what we called as direct seeding of rice. So this project we have taken now as a commitment to enhance water use efficiency in the agriculture by 25% by the year 2030. So this is a sustainability commitment on water aspect as well as GHG emission aspect, which we have also announced in the UN Water Summit happened in March earlier this year. So with this commitment and the sustainability, the second aspect, this project is in two parts. One is we are driving the transformation part of rice from acreages and I would say not only commercial but also the sustainable environmental part, aspects of it related to carbon farming. The second innovation is the digital, where we want to bring the mechanization as well as some of the new micro irrigation technologies. So we have partnered with Netafim, we've partnered with Yara, so the fertilizer part of it, and we also partnered with several food value chain companies to implement resource efficient supply chain monitoring of carbon sequestration in the soil through the interventions. So the digital leapfrogging through this, and the third, overall, this percolates into the 30-30-30. So reduce 30% of footprint of chemicals, achieve it by 2030, and implement a 30% reduction in the water use efficiency as well as the GHG emission by 2030. So the next slide talks about our mission, which is through all these three, powered by the digital transformation, delivering the world-class innovation of seeds and technologies which we have, and then set the standard on sustainability. The next one, focusing on, the next one, please. Rice, just to give you a context, most of the audience, I think, I'm going to a crop specific part of it, well aware of that the discussion has been happening on water, but how do we relate it to agriculture and crops for the sustainable aspect of growing the food, which is ultimately the output part of agriculture. So since as a crop sciences company, we are focused more on a crop specialism. So I'll be maybe talking few figures about rice, which is as a very input intensive crop. 35% of global water is consumed by this crop, 15% of global fertilizer is being used by this crop, and 10% of global ag input is used by this crop. When we talk about GHG emission, about 20% of all anthropogenic emissions, the GHG emissions, and specifically the methane emission, which is the most, I would say, critical gas is coming out of the rice paddies, mainly from the flooding system which is being followed at this point in time. So what we want to change in this? We want to change the cost of cultivation for farmers, because the the TPR or the puddled rice system at this point in time is heavily labor intensive. So during COVID, you would have seen last 2-3 years, there's a lot of incentivization which has happened from states like Punjab and Haryana. And Punjab was incentivizing the farmers 4,000 per acre to convert from TPR to DSR. Haryana was also giving almost a similar amount for kind of a subsidy, direct subsidy to shift their practice, directly broadcasting the seeds from TPR to DSR. So there is a government push to diversify the crops, as well as to adopt new agronomic practices because of depleting water table, which we know is a very serious problem in Punjab. And also incentivization, focusing mainly through extension system, through the SCUs like POU and also the HAU. Another is that there is evolving technology landscape and mechanization through better seed. There is a non-GM technology. So the varieties, the major issue with direct seeding of rice is the weed problem. So as soon as you have a seed sown without water table, immediately the weeds come up and they compete with the whole crop. So the main thing we are working is how to have better management for weeds, so that we don't have weedy rice at the end of the day. So we also need precision seed drills, laser land labeling to promote this, and then testing, conviction, and scale up, and a lot of capacity building on the ground, which we are doing with a lot of our partners on the ground. And this is happening across 10 states in India. Our aim is to reach about 1 million smallholder farmers by 2030. We will do it in the form of both transforming to agronomic practice into a carbon farming, and also doing the mechanization and the digital part of it. The next one, just to give you a glimpse of how the difference between the TPR and the DSR form. So conventionally, when you see at the TPR form, it's highly labor intensive. You have to grow the nursery first, and then plant by plant. It takes several days in the flooded water. Last week only, I was in Karnal, and 2-3 meters water was there, and you have to wear gum boots to go through those TPR fields, because first 1 month, 2 months, you have to keep the field totally flooded for rice to grow. So versus to the new direct seeding of rice, which is also of 3 types. One is you can directly broadcast. Second is you can do wet seeding, where you can pre-germinate the seeds and then broadcast it. And third is through tarbatar, or which we call through the machine seed drill. So the next one. Some of the pain points which the farmer faces while taking out of DSR, we just wanted to, maybe quickly I want to tell you, because they are used to a particular kind of practice which they are doing historically for several years, and they have a fear and reluctance and also confusion that how do we manage a new technology, because this new technology requires a lot of hand-holding in the first year to manage the weeds, to manage the sowing, because the germination is sometimes poor if the moisture is not there in the soil. And also they have to take care of the weeds, because gradually, as the field is very dry, the weeds also come up very, very early. So with this captivism, the adoption is little slow, and that is where we are looking for some kind of policy support, and also a lot of public-private partnerships to make this shift happen. The next one, please. So the various phases, the research intensive to the next one, please. Can you please click once more? Some pictures on what are the different steps. Can you click once more? Click once more. Yeah. Okay. The next one talks about our flagship program. We call it Direct Acres. We started in 2021 with 800 hectares in Punjab. We scaled it to 800 hectares last year, and this year we're aiming for 10K hectares. And this is a very successful test and learn. There is about 90% of farmer acceptance, and this we are doing along with our great collaborations with IRI, CISA, with the World Resources Group of World Bank, and also with some of the big rice partners like Olam, and also I talked about the fertilizer part, the nutrition part of it is also very important when we shift to this new technology. The next one, please. The model test and learn case in 2023 happening in Punjab through 6 clusters, and we are having constantly hand holding to the farmers. About 5,000 hectares we could convert this year from TPR to DSR because of also, very different rain scenario happening. The next one, please. These are some of the snapshots which are captured. A lot of emphasis in the government. Some of the big companies also coming up with this new initiative of direct seeding of rice versus the transplanted form of rice. The next one, please. I'll give a context of what Bayer is doing in the rice carbon initiative. So this is a parallel project which is based on 2 new technologies. One is DSR and second is AWD, alternate wetting and drying. And for carbon farming, we are focusing mainly on alternate wetting and drying form of the agronomic practice. So with the CDM methodology, the carbon market already established in India in the forestry sector. So with the egg projects which are for the voluntary carbon market, so Bayer has already established SPV called a special purpose vehicle with many different players. So we will be this year doing 25,000 hectare area with a lot of carbon financing. And this project, which will be practicing to ensure there are non-flooded fields, there is a controlled irrigation, and for this there are Android-based tools which have been created to monitor what is the soil moisture and when to give the irrigation, because that is also very important to sense what is the time of irrigation, so that we can accurately calculate what is the water saved and what is the overall methane emissions which we could reduce, which happens through the flooding of the rice fields. So there is no long-term yield reduction which is noticed in our 2-year pilots. This was also one of our major constraints in adoption of this new technology. This technology is not new. This has been actually coming and going for the last 20 years, but there has not been an organized effort to implement this technology for the agriculture. But this is the right time. This is the right time where we have the solutions and the mechanization available to implement this technology. There are no local regulatory restrictions for establishment of this voluntary carbon market based on rice, which we wanted to do. So we will be implementing the practice change at a scale to have, also incentivize the farmer. So there is a pre-adoption number which one is assuring the farmer for changing this practice, and also to ensure that there is a permanence, which is also one of the main criteria for a voluntary carbon market, and also maintaining the integrity and compliance related to risk management of this new technology. So with this, the next one, please. I thank the audience. Thank you so much.
Get summarized in case of.
Okay.
We have time.
Okay. Yeah.
Get summarized.
Yeah. there any questions? I'm happy to answer.